The Trump administration has officially lifted sanctions on Iranian oil currently stranded at sea. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent calls the move, quote, a narrowly tailored short-term solution to lower prices as we continue the war with Iran, but giving them more money to fight the war, which seems counterintuitive to me. It's the latest example, though, of strategic whiplash and comes just days after Israel struck an Iranian oil field, which they claim was approved by the U.S. In response to the lifting of the sanctions, an Iranian state spokesman said, quote, at present, Iran essentially has no crude oil left floating on water. The statement by the U.S. Treasury Secretary is merely aimed at giving hope to buyers and psychologically controlling the market. And if anything, that hope is certainly needed. The Dow has hit a new 2026 low, closing for the first time below 46,000. Plus, the national average for the price of gas has hit $3.93 per gallon, almost $1 higher than just 1 month ago. Diesel has already hit $5.21 per gallon. United Airlines says it expects jet fuel prices to remain high through next year and will be forced to cancel flights that have become unprofitable. As Americans, folks like you bear the cost of Trump's war. Here's what a top White House official is saying about that financial burden.
The fact is that the U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now, because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule.
Joining us now, Neera Tanden, President and CEO of the Center for American Progress and former domestic policy advisor to President Biden, and former Republican Congressman Joe Walsh, who is now a Democrat. Okay, the last of our concerns. I remember how much we beat you guys up for being like, no, things are going to be okay. But over and over and over, this administration, their allies, the president, say things like this, that to a person who can't pay for gas, who's having trouble, a single mom with 2 kids who's having trouble putting food on the table, someone who now has to drive Uber so that they can afford to eat, when they hear something like this, that amount of disconnect, it means a lot. It means the entire world. Neera,
yeah, I mean, I think that what they're saying is that the stock market will probably get through this, but what they're really deeply concerned about is not how the average consumer is doing. Because actually, as he just said, the consumers are the least of their concerns. And I think people should just recognize that as you're paying more, you're paying more for gas. But the most important thing about gas is it ripples through the economy. It increases transportation costs. It increases your plane tickets. And when Kirby, the CEO of United Airlines, is saying we're going to have over $100 gas, their projection is through 2027, right? I think the truth is the administration wants to issue the talking point that this is transitory. And believe me, I remember those. Didn't work so well.
Nightmare fuel.
But I think the real folks know that there's structural damage being done to the international oil markets that will be very hard to undo. Locations, infrastructure that cost billions of dollars to create are being destroyed in this war. And unfortunately, no one seemed to plan for that. So the American consumer is going to pay first.
Speaking of an American consumer, there's an American consumer who was real mad on Tuesday. Who was it? Was it Jonathan Allen? Jonathan Allen talked to an American consumer. Buckle up, y'all, because here's what she had to say.
If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You're a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
I mean, Joe, she voted for him 3 times. She is his base. And she is talking like that to a reporter on camera gleefully. Are you hearing that kind of sentiment as well?
Yes. I As we all know, I come from that base, so I still engage with that base daily. And I've always said there are two things that will move people like this away from Trump: when they realize they've been repeatedly lied to, and when they feel real economic pain. And that's happening now. I don't know that she's going to vote for a Democrat. Maybe she will. But there are a lot of people in his base who are increasingly so alienated about how they're hurting economically, they just may not vote.
Mm-hmm. Staying home is also a big issue.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
If we are getting into sort of some of the potential policy prescriptions, if you could put on your DPC hat here, the IEA had implored countries this week, this is according to the BBC, to work from home and drive more slowly to save energy. They basically argue that with energy prices still high due to the conflict, governments around the world are being urged to reduce driving speed limits and encourage more working from home. Such advice can be politically difficult, he admitted, but energy prices meant people had a big incentive to adopt new strategies. I am always a proponent of brakeless driving. It is the best way to max out your gas usage, just FYI. But are there other, like, real policy and legislative prescriptions that Congress can be debating here to temporarily alleviate some of the pain? Such as banning export of gas.
Yes, I mean, there's a range of things. I think, the truth is that all of them pale in comparison to ending the war. I mean, there's a variety of steps that can be taken. The SPRO, releasing the strategic petroleum... But even ending the war
right now is, as you've said, there's already been structural damage, right?
Yes.
There's no such thing as short-term pain.
That's true, but if the market knew that war was ending, prices would come down more than they are now. People are making decisions about future oil price and current oil price. So I think the truth is that the things we can all conserve. That is really good. And I can't wait till we get to the amendment where Donald Trump puts on a cardigan, and I'll let Jimmy Carter tells us all to conserve. That will be a wonderful 180. But the challenge for the administration is the steps that they can take are really cents on the dollar. The Strategic Petroleum Oil Reserve, that's going to be a few cents. I mean, the fact, this was discussed before, but the fact that we are lifting sanctions on Iran shows you the depths of panic within the White House about oil prices, because they attacked Barack Obama for just dealing with the Iran sanctions deal and providing some relief via those sanctions when they were not producing a nuclear material. And so this is such a pretzel decision to ensure that the regime right now has money days after Israel struck the oil fields to make sure they don't have money. So that's just a chaos situation.
Let's not forget the overall context here. Even before the war, he was single-handedly mucking up this economy with his tariff madness, with his mass deportations, already shutting down the economy and making things less affordable before the war.
I have to play 17 seconds, Robert. Minnesota GOP Senate candidate telling voters what she thinks they should be doing here. Let's play E2.
I think right now, at least just kind of keeping a stiff upper lip. Maybe you take one less trip to Starbucks, and so that gas goes a little further until this thing is over and these gas prices come back down again. Let's just try to be patriots about this.
Yeah, guys, be patriots. No more coffee, Jackie.
Coffee prices that had already gone up because of the tariff issue here.